Aboard the mighty airship Windswift, 4 valiant captains of the Order of Astari are tasked with hunting down the madmen who would bring back the Dragon Overlords. These are the adventures of the Windswift. Hello and welcome to this episode of The Adventures of the Windswift. I'm joined by my usual crew. That's Michael playing Mutaru, Freddie playing Graham, Jonathan playing Con, and Simon playing Blackston. If you don't know who they are, go onto the channel. You'll find Meet Con, Meet Blackston, Meet Graham, and as of today, Meet Mutaru as well, and you'll learn all about their wonderful, wonderful characters. If you didn't catch us last week, we have switched to a new 2-hour format. So for the next 2 hours, sit back, relax, grab your favorite cup of coffee, that you've been keeping in the cupboard for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and get ready for some mild entertainment, I hope, if not more. So to kick us off, the Dice of Destiny will determine who gets to give us the review of last week. And that would be Con. Con, would you please give us a review of what happened last week?
I didn't do it. Nobody saw a thing.
Actually, that's a good summary.
That's a good summary for you. Indeed.
Well, chaos reigned in many ways as the party was split, with each part pretty much ignorant of what was going on with the other. It involved desert tribesmen, declarations of war, escaped prisoners, dodgy traders, and a deadline to get the Windswift and her crew out of there before bloodshed ensues. Con has found himself in a particularly difficult situation, with a pair of bodies to dispose of. And that more or less brings us up to where we were.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, here we go. Blackston, Lieutenant Ty informs you that she and Hurricane, the cook, have managed to simulate using leftovers from last night's pork dinner, as well as some red wine that was going to go off anyway, a rather good facsimile of a blood bag, which when they insert into your mannequin should look like the entrails of an individual having been dragged behind a ship. So they are ready to do that at your leisure whenever you give the command.
I nod and say, very well, thank you for your help. Just remember to leave, there will be some trading going on as soon as the sand people arrive again. I bartered a trade with them. But for now I have personal matters to attend to, so thank you again.
If I might be so bold, says Lieutenant Ty, stepping forward, her hair is still immaculate, her uniform is still prim and proper, even though everybody else is covered in desert sand. Am I to take it then that I can put together a list that the crew might have of items that we might trade for?
Yes, if they would agree to this, that would be possible. The preliminary diplomacy that I did with the tribe was mostly about nurturing, like food, because they seemed fairly barbaric to me, and I was not sure about their craftsmanship and supply situation. I know they have dates.
Absolutely noted, sir. I'll make a list for you. Mutaru, you and Graham are in the good doctor's office where Connor's administering to the wounded and slightly delirious Graham.
Well,
I spent some time watching.
I'm going to find that woman! I will tear her to pieces! I will find the one with the scarlet hair! I will find her! I will take back my identity! My house! I will take it back!
And, are you touching me at all?
No, I'm just observing and writing notes.
Okay,
Mutaru will make his way over to a small desk beside where Con works.
I'm going to throw a small jug
lollipop.
at you, Mutaru. And that is a That is just a straight up 11. That's gonna miss. As I grab a jug and just toss it at you as hard as I can, which I'm just like, you insipid fools!
I won't dodge it.
Okay, I think we've seen enough.
I'll say, it's okay, I know how to fix this. Mutaru takes his lollipop and sticks it in Graham's mouth. There we go, much better. You
I get some sleeping powder from my medical supplies and blow it in Graham's face. Night night.
Give me a
Stop it, nothing!
Constitution saving throw, please.
Ooh, that was a 2.
And silence.
There.
What you need right now is a good rest, young Graham. You just sleep it off. There you go. That's right. Ease it back. That's it. Put a pillow under his head. There we go. Blanket. Right. Good. I fear the foreman has become unhinged.
We all have. But yes, him slightly more than others. Well, I'm glad he's at least getting some rest. This whole deal with being stabbed and whatnot, I think it has taken its toll on the entire crew. Perhaps some R&R when we get our first chance to land properly.
Yes, the rest situation is becoming somewhat critical. My capacity for judgment is starting to suffer.
Lieutenant Ty steps into the room looking slightly frazzled. There is a single strand of hair that has worked its way loose from her normally impeccable bun. I am sorry to interrupt, Doctor and Mr. Mutaru, but there is...
I'm sure I'm a captain.
Yes, of course you are, sir. Forgive me. There is a rather large entourage that has arrived from the Daraheg delegation. And I thought it would be best if I were to inform you that they are here, and it would appear that they are setting up camp, sir.
Where did I put that headache powder?
Wait, as in they are setting up around the ship?
We are being encircled as we speak, sir. Yes.
Let's go have a look at this.
Yes, quite right. Thank you. I grab my stuff and I sort of make sure that Graham's all tucked in.
All right, don't worry, he won't be out for long.
Where are you touching?
It should calm him somewhat when he wakes up, hopefully.
Wait, but where are you touching?
And Mutaru, run!
What? Okay. All right. Nope, it's too late. He's gone.
Blackston, you hear quite a large commotion of people around you. No one is interrupting you because you gave instruction to Lieutenant Tai that you had personal matters to deal with, but you are hearing a general noise, and from without the ship you can hear the sound of a lot of people being industrious. Every now and again a shrill woman's voice breaks into your thoughts. But yes, other than that, you are left relatively alone.
I kind of roll up the parchment that I've been writing some stuff on, put it into a pocket, and stand up and go to see over the railing what's going on. I mean, I kind of have an idea because I invited them to come, right? So,
as you arrive up onto deck, there is a simultaneous smell of camel dung, camel meat roasting over an open fire, and the smell of smoke that fills your lungs. The area appears to be on fire until you realize that there are possibly 100 campfires set up all around the Windswift, completely encircling it. White tents have sprouted up like mushrooms after a good summer rain, and the entire area is full of Darahag people moving about in clusters, wandering around. There is a primal tent, a principal tent that has been set up, a massive affair 3 stories high. Tent poles are still being erected, pulled into place by teams of camels that grumble and groan as they pull these very heavy structures into place. Great big colorful carpets are being rolled out over the sand so as to hide its purpose and create this general air of comfort. Dajar is standing on his catamaran, grinning from ear to ear and handing out trinkets in exchange for boxes of dates and all kinds of things. And when he sees the 4 of you, even over the sound of 4,000 Daraheg people unpacking and getting ready for a festivity, you hear, as well as feel perhaps, "Ah, Mr. Blackstone, you are here. I have very important document for you to sign."
I just smile, pat the side of the the pocket where the parchment is in, and I nod and say like, this is gonna be interesting. And I take a look over to Con and just like raise an eyebrow and just say, "What are they burning? I didn't see any trees or lumber around here."
I presume it's animal dung. Generally what happens in desert.
Alright. Well, I'm more used to the cold.
Connor's looking distinctly stressed out by the entire situation.
And I just like, realizing this, I just put my hand on his shoulder and say like, "They are our allies now."
Oh good. Let's hope they don't find out about our little guests.
Wait, so these are allies?
Yes.
I'll be right back. Mutaru leaps from the side of the ship.
Oh no, I should have said that.
And begins to petition the first person he finds for some of that delicious smelling camel meat.
Well, the fires have been created and the bodies of various animals are slowly being turned over the open flames. The language difficulty subsides when you point at something very animatedly. The small group of men that you've approached watch as a large yak man points to the carcass of an ox and indicates that he wants to eat it. Their customs and ways forbid them from passing judgment on this act of cannibalism that is clearly about to happen, and they hold up their hands, sort of giving you that count.
I take 5 gold from my pocket.
And that seems to cause even more. Then one of them points up at the sun and then points at a direction in the west and... Right.
At this point, Mutaru will see if there's any work that need to be done to help them set up the tent. So any heavy lifting, the usual things. You know, like if I see someone trying to pull and set up a tent, I'll, you know, lend an arm or two.
All right, not a problem. You start to do that, getting looks of appreciation and thanks from everybody. Con and Blackston, what are the two of you doing?
I'm going to conduct an inspection of the ship. I'm obviously very keen that it is going to be able to leave when we're supposed to leave.
The sun has set at this point? Like, we were overdue from the time that was originally given to us?
That's right. The sun is getting ready to set now. Yes, that's quite right. It's dusk. Waffen is with you, Con. The moment you say, "I'm doing a tour of the ship," the chief engineer is there. She'll be all right to fly, sir, just not very fast, and I wouldn't recommend going above a mile in height. There are pressures up there that we're just not familiar with. It might crush us like a bug. But if we can get back to, well, really any gnomish port, she'll be ship-shape and ready to ship out again in the space of a month, maybe a month and a half at worst.
A month? We don't have a month to sit in dry dock.
All right, I'll do it for you in, say, a week. But a month would be better. We give her a new lick of paint, install some new features, like that extra bedding that we were speaking about. And
What about the keel?
What? Why would you say anything about it? It's broken, sir. It's broken. She's snapped like a twig.
Well, that's not good.
No, it's not. That's why we've got to go into harbour for as long as we possibly can to lay a new one. We've basically got to rebuild ourselves, but our spirit is safe and sound. The engine is still good, and that's what makes a flying ship, sir. That's not the keel. It's the engine. That's what we maintain. And the engine is still absolutely fine, sir. I'd show you, but I'm not allowed to.
Well, I'll bow to your expertise in that regard.
You'd have to get on your knees to do that, sir. He looks at himself as a gnome and then looks up at you as a human.
You've done excellent work under the circumstances. What are your recommendations for a dry dock?
Well, if I had my way, I'd say Picklepock. They know what they're doing. They're pretty sharp on the button. Prices are not too bad. I believe the Order's got a standing account with them.
Right.
It is a wee bit of a distance, however.
I see. Well, I suppose the first order of business is to get ourselves underway once this whole diplomatic event is concluded. You feel confident we'll be able to get a good altitude?
Oh, aye. Oh, aye. No, the problem we've got now, sir, is all these campfires.
Right.
It's a thermal nightmare. There are going to be up currents and down currents and little eddies and drafts all over this place. Ideally, I'd like not to put it through too much stress, if you know what I mean. So if we do the part, I'd recommend we do it, say, in the wee hours of the morning once all those fires have burnt down a little bit.
Well, surely we can just move her off from there before attempting to climb. Anyway, this all, I think, depends on how things play out here. So...
Oh, I thought we were supposed to...
Be ready to go.
We are, sir.
I'm somewhat confused as to the events. I need to liaise with the other captains.
Very good, sir. We're all ships.
Just make sure she's ready to go on command.
Oh, aye, sir. We're ready to fly whenever you are. Don't you worry. The wind is not going to let you down.
Good thing. Well done. I will see to it that you are commended after this.
Well, that's very kind of you, sir. Very kind indeed. But it was a team effort. Couldn't have done it without Captain Mutaru leading us on. Even if he
Jolly good.
Did recommend certain courses of action, which we didn't necessarily agree with.
Like...
No, like telling us not to tell you about the broken keel, sir. I can't lie. It's your face. It's just so fairy.
That's okay. I'm pretty sure he had good reason.
I think he wanted to... Well, we're not entirely sure why he said what he did, sir. But nonetheless, it's out now.
That's all right. Gnomes are not known for their conspiratorial nature.
No, well, not my section anyway, sir. No, not at all. Not at all. That's why our job's so difficult on this ship, I tell you. All right, we'll go get it fixed. Don't you worry, sir.
Right, I better go and find the others.
All right. Yes. You are in the land of oblivion and unconsciousness. You are completely unaware of your surroundings and all that sort of thing. And yet, you suddenly feel as if you are standing in a very dark space. A very cold, isolated space. You can't feel anything, but you get a sense that you're standing up.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what do I do with this thing?
As you're standing there, even if you hold your hand up, you can't see in front of you.
What is going on?
Oh, we've lost Jonathan. He is out and about on holiday at the moment, so hopefully he'll be back. There is something else in this space with you.
Hello? I'm very busy and I need to be on my business.
Is it standing directly behind you?
I turned to see.
Again, blackness and darkness.
Nothing.
And nothing.
Still nothing.
Then, ever so softly, you feel some movement. There's a gust of wind that suddenly picks up just across your forehead, your eyebrows. Feel this movement very close. We've been watching you.
Who?
You have something of ours.
Why does everyone think I have something they want?
We were there.
Who? What are you?
You should know. That information you will not get.
That book.
Another voice from your other shoulder. Perhaps he remembers. Perhaps.
But the tome I found, clutched in the skeleton hands. That book that was pristine, and yet there for so long. Is that what this is about?
Go on.
Read the damn thing for months and I really couldn't understand what it had. Names. That's what I understood. There were rituals and different, I would assume, like instructions.
He will not understand. He is not ready.
No, I am ready. Do you need a deal? Is that what this is? Can you help me get that harlot bitch?
We know where she is. Do not tempt him. Do not listen to him. He is...
No, don't listen to voice number 1. I'm listening to voice number 2. Tell me. I'll do anything. I'll kill children if I have to. I will slay every single man, woman, and child in my way. I don't care if I am burned in my own destruction. You can send me to whatever place you need me to go, but I want to find her and end her. After that, I will be destroyed or whatever I am, but I don't care. She took everything from me.
Suddenly, it feels as if there's a liquid pooling around your feet. It is slightly warm, slightly viscous, but as black as the rest of the surroundings.
I will take him,
says a third voice.
You are prepared to sacrifice everything.
Yes. Oh, I'm not.
Including your soul.
Yes. I'm a husk of a person in general.
Do not say such things. You don't have to sacrifice everything.
Quiet, you! You don't understand my past. My identity was taken. Do you know who you are? I only know my name. That is it. I had a home and a family, and they were burned. All I know was they were killed, and my own city and town would not tell me what happened. No one would say anything. You, whoever you are, you all know what you are. I am but a husk of a person. Not even a person. I am a monster, and I am ready to accept this. I just need her destruction, and mine will follow in suit, and it does not matter to me!
Blackston.
Mm-hmm.
The Jar has muscled his way back onto the ship.
Mm-hmm.
I do not wish to bother you any further, sir. I just wish to maybe get your signature on a document, and then I will be on my way. Well, as far as I can go, the Dara Hegs you have been very busy. I knew someone of your great caliber would definitely be in the center of things.
Deja.
Yes, yes, yes.
You said these people are savages, right?
Yes, they don't build cities, they don't build great structures, they are not known for anything other than being the...
And they usually kill on sight?
Yes, usually. Depending, of course, but yes, generally speaking on sight, yes.
We are now allies with them, and they assume that you are with us.
That has been the great fortune that has before... Oh, I see where you're going with this, sir.
Yes. Now, I don't intend to rob them of this delusion. But let me take a look at this parchment.
He unfolds a very bloodied, manky piece of paper.
Is that the parchment you meant?
This is the one that I presented, yes, to Captain Mutaru.
Yeah, and you're sure this is the right parchment, right?
All I ask is an endorsement of my operations here in the desert. It is not that much to ask. I do not think you'll be back here for a very long time.
Mm-hmm. Then show it to me.
He hands you the document.
I kind of open it up and read it through.
All right. It's a general reference that the House of Dajar and all of its affiliates have been endorsed by the Order of Histari as being sole providers for all amenities and necessities within the Akisadeb Desert.
This seems like a very blanket statement, don't you think?
It is more for me to present to the leaders of this desert as a word of authority that I have a good client.
I thought as much. Now, what do you say, instead of me writing the name of my order under here, we open for you an exclusive business deal?
I am interested, of course. Whatever you have to say, you wisdom flows from you.
So, the desert is generally a very dangerous place, specifically here, with the Darahag looming about.
Yes,
Now,
without a doubt.
if they would know you, you would have the easiest of time to move caravans through here from city to city, and even have the opportunity to trade with these people, as you are already doing. I kind of point that to the
yes. Well, you can't blame a guy for trying.
Yes. Now, what do you say, instead of me giving you a blanket statement that I don't feel very comfortable with?
I'm sure we can work out the terminology.
You will join us in today's festivities with the Darahag chieftain, and then you're on your own, but we have made the connection for you. That should be that would be sufficient to your
You would do
services
this for
provided.
me?
I'm a man that keeps on giving.
I could not have asked for a better deal. That is worth 1,000 of these papers. Give me the paper if you please, sir. Give me the paper. Give me the paper. Yes, absolutely. Patoy, I spit on that paper. That paper was a stupid idea. Your idea is so much better. Yes, yes, yes. I will sit at your hand as your trader to the Darahugs. Absolutely. And once you have departed, yes, there is no ties whatsoever. But the introductions have been made. We are all happy. Yes, I am very, very pleased, sir. You have no idea.
I'm
I
going to
think
miss
I
this
have
kid.
an idea. And I nod and say, well, then get yourself ready for festivities.
Yes, yes,
Perhaps
yes,
you
yes.
want to partake and deliver some of your produce as a gesture of good faith?
Oh, yes, yes, I have the gifts to organize. Yes, of course, of course. Dada will not let you down, sir. No, no. He goes scampering off towards the side of the ship and disappears in a flurry of activity. Mutaru, you are busy helping with the master tent when a very large warrior walks up to you. By large, I mean he is very rotund as well as tall, so a general air of being quite big. He seems a little nervous to begin with, but prompted by one of his companions, he steps forward and says, "You strong." Darahog Talnim. One.
Shungdai Mutaru.
This causes a little bit of panic as he's slowly trying to recite the words he was taught just a few minutes ago. He decides to go back to just the script. Darahag Talnim. Wish for display strength.
Mutaru's face beams, almost as wide as Dajar's. Mutaru nods. Mutaru, also like sea, display strength.
He bows and starts backing away, then turns, visibly sort of sighs from a job well done, and heads off towards the rest of the leaders that are busy setting up another area of the camp.
I look to one of the workers who I know doesn't understand a word I'm saying.
Right.
Where's he going? I thought he wanted to wrestle or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just what I was thinking.
Carries on hitting it. It isn't long before a delegation arrives from the Darahag leader himself, requesting an audience with the captain of the vessel. So Lieutenant Ty decides the most appropriate person at this point in time would be Con to go to.
Great!
Lieutenant?
There's a delegation here to see you, sir.
Okay.
I have Naxim standing by to act as translator.
Fantastic. Where are we at this point? On deck, I presume.
Yeah.
Let's do this then. I put on my game face.
Yes, Butaru.
Sorry, slight inquiry here. Mutaru is telepathic. He can actually communicate telepathically with other people. How does that work with the language barrier? Do I think in the common tongue, and therefore if I were to use my telepathy, I couldn't breach that?
Unless you can speak their language.
Cool.
You can think in imagery, and then they'll get this weird image in their head. They'll know that it's you who's sending it. But yeah, you could think in pictures, but not in words and that sort of thing. So you could have very basic conversations that are visual based, but nothing higher than that.
Okay,
All
cool.
right.
Thank you.
Con, you are led to this delegation of very important looking men, and there is an individual standing there who looks a little bit confused. And when you arrive, all of them bow. They all rise again, and then one of them says to Naxun, who's standing there. Naxun, by the way, has changed his uniform since getting back from the skiff sailing incident, and is looking particularly sharp. He's obviously oiled his body over and is wearing a very neatly cut linen kilt of white linen with braces and buckles that are made out of a very, very striking gold-looking material. And you could swear that he's wearing makeup. He's got these black lines drawn around his eyes, making them seem deeper and bigger than they normally are. And there's a faint perfume in the air that appears to be emanating from his hair, which is slicked back. The black hair is held back in place. He turns and looks at you and says, 1,000 apologies, sir, but he was expecting, I believe, Captain Blackston, who orchestrated the alliance. He does not wish to form a fence, however, and so is willing to talk to you, if so. But Lieutenant Tai told me that Mr. Blackston did not wish to be interrupted.
Then it's probably wise not to interrupt him. Are we strictly regulation this evening, Naxun?
I thought, given the circumstances, it would be best to put our most culturally best foot forward, sir.
I see. The Darahag have a close relationship with your people, then.
You could say that, sir. You could say that I would like to have a very close relationship with the Darahag people, sir.
Oh, spotted one you liked, did you?
Not that easy, considering the way they dress. Very different to how the Sajeti normally wear the clothing, but there is one that I have seen, yes, sir.
That a boy.
Right. Well, since Blackston is unavailable, how may I assist you, esteemed personages?
He continues to translate to the head man, who then speaks fairly sternly initially, but seems to calm himself down when Naxun points at the two, and you know this to be true, non-functioning ballista. The man's tone changes slightly, and then Naxun returns. He wishes to inquire as to whether, whilst we were out in the desert, we came across two of his observers.
Right. Yes, I see. Well, it was inevitable that this question would come up eventually, Naxun. What did you say?
I said that I would ask my esteemed captain, who is the commander of this large and heavily armed vessel.
Right. Tell them that we have not seen their... or at least we do not think we have seen their men. It has been a very confused and chaotic afternoon. But of course, I will ask around the crew.
You wish for me to lie, sir?
Do you advise telling them the truth, Naxun?
He looks at the thousands of Darahag around. No, I just wish to be clear that that is what we are going with.
At this point, Blackston would try to find Mutaro and what he is up to, because I know he's boisterous and likes to show off, so he should be fairly easy to find.
What would Green do, Con? What would Green do?
Naxun turns back to Talneem and informs him that you have seen several individuals, but did not know of who they are or where they went or what they're doing. And give me a sense motive insight check there, please, Mr. On.
Oh dear.
Inciting their motive senses. Yes.
15. Naxun gives what can best be described as the best poker face you have ever seen, even though you don't speak the language. You believe that perhaps you didn't see those two people whilst you were clubbing them to death.
I didn't.
Yeah.
There was
The
also
fire, the fire was was just like, oh no.
I had my eyes closed the whole time.
So, yes, with that, the headman then informs you that, via Nexon, that there is a feast that is going to be held in your honor, the honor of all of the captains of the vessel this evening, and that the order that you must depart before the sun sets is officially rescinded, and you are now guests and allies of the Darahag people, and so are for all times welcome to stay as long as you wish. There is a matter of the exchange, which causes Naxon to stop mid-translation. As he's listening and translating, he suddenly stops and he turns to you. So,
What exchange?
as we are now allies, it is customary amongst the Darahag people, and perhaps this is my fault for not anticipating, that there is to be an exchange of hostages.
Hostages?
That is closest word to it in Sajet, but it is generally considered to be wives or husbands to get married into each other's groups, but it is also understood that if the alliance ever breaks, those individuals will be either executed or used as leverage against the newfound enemy.
Oh, that.
Yes, sir. I think Lieutenant Ty would make an excellent representative of the Windswift, don't you, sir?
Blackston!
Blackston, if you are looking for Mutaru, you see Mutaru busy chatting to somebody, but you can see that he's chatting away, and the person he's chatting to is just nodding and walking and clearly hasn't got a clue what he's saying. You can also see Graham standing with Talneem, the man that you organized
Graham?
alliance with. Not Graham, sorry, Con.
Now I'm getting a little bit like,
I
what? No!
I'm saying next to him, why don't I see anything? Who are you? It's just me closing my eyes and like they're trying to talk to him, like, don't tempt him. I slap some like the captain guy, shut up. You don't know me.
So yes, you can see Con chatting to Talneem, with Naxon looking like a guilty schoolboy. And then Con shouts your name.
I like go over to Con.
Mutara, you see Blackston heading towards you and then moving over towards Con and the other delegation of Darahags.
In the meantime, I turn back to them and through Naxon say thank them for their kind hospitality. We'll be only too delighted to accept.
I'll tell Lieutenant Ty as well, sir.
No, belay that. Far too much initiative, Naxon, thank you.
Yes, sir. He conveys your messaging. The Talneem smiles broadly, turns, stops, turns back, mentions something. Naxon looks at you, and he says he is willing to hand over the prisoner just as soon as we drag Captain Graham behind the ship until he is sandpapered to death.
Yes, the complicated part of this evening's entertainment.
I shall inform him that we are ready to do so.
Inform him that we are making all the preparations for what will be a spectacular execution.
We are going to execute Captain Graham?
They think that.
I see. Yes, I shall inform them, sir. Blackston,
I knew I can't trust anybody in this ship.
I can presume there can be no other outcome from such an action.
Oh, he starts to communicate. Blackson, you arrive with Con. The Talnim sees you. He gives you a curt nod of the head. Naxun turns and he says something. Naxun turns to you. The Talnim greets you as a friend and ally and wishes for you to know that he and Captain Con here have already made the arrangements for the exchange as well as for the execution of Captain Graham.
I just nod, say, very well.
You know too?
Yes, of course.
Of course you do, sir. That's why you are the captains. He turns back to Talnim, mentions to Talnim, and then Talnim heads off. And,
Blackston, what are we going to do about this? We can't hand them over members of our crew.
I have an idea.
Oh, good. I'm really lacking in sleep right now, and ideas are not bubbling to the top of my brain at a ready rate.
Let's see what we can do with these people.
Not to mention our cargo.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Quite eager to get on our way, and now they've invited us to dinner.
Of course. Deja will join us soon, and he will solve all our problems, I'm sure of it.
Okay, I hope you're right.
all right.
He has everything we want, remember?
So he says. That's quite a long list for me.
So, yes. Mutaru, what do you do?
Well, Mutaru has made a new friend who he has, for the moment, named Hamzy. Him and Hamzy have become firm friends. He has regaled him on many of his exploits and adventures, including, of course, the journey to Gam Spire. Check out Bacon Battalion Season 1. As he does so, he is, in his own very, very telepathic way, communicating every perhaps 5 minutes or so whether or not the food is ready. But is quietly thinking, or every now and then scanning the horizon to see where that large individual who wants to test his strength went. It's very bizarre. It's never happened before. Usually people, challenge me to a fight and then, that's what we do. They don't sort of challenge me and then wander off. So pondering the mystery of obviously what has occurred, Mutaru is continuing to work hard, all while, of course, regaling a dear and beloved Hamzy with the events of recent past.
And Hamzy is nodding politely. Yes. As you go about your business, watching what's happening, everybody seems to be in an absolute joyful mood, but you do realize that this is not just one group of Dara hags. As you move from one camp to another, Hamzy will stop at certain points, invisible lines literally drawn in the sand, where he won't go, but he'll go around or simply hand you stuff and sort of point over there. You then go to Hamzy too, who quite happily will take what you've given him, but he won't cross over other areas. So by the time the sun has set and the campfires are throwing up their own stars to meet the heavens above, the idea is that there are about 12 different groups that have come together around the Windswift, and they've broken around almost the faces of a clock. As you can imagine, these wedges around the ship have formed. Graham, as you are getting frustrated with these voices, you are suddenly woken up. A hand has been placed upon your chest. There is a woman who looks absolutely terrified.
Grab it. I'm grabbing the hand.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to wake you. Only you were shouting. It's the woman that Dajar sold or gave to the ship, supposedly as a Hashtal facsimile. In her other hand, you can see she has a cloth that's been dipped in water, and she's obviously been mopping your brow.
I just slowly let go of the hand, but push it away,
I know it's none of my business, but if I were you, I wouldn't listen to any of them. They all sound quite ghastly to me.
Where are the other captains?
Oh, I don't know. After they very kindly brought me on board and said that they were going to give me my freedom, I kind of kept myself busy. I was helping Hurricane the cook, and then I heard you, and so I came in to see if you were all right.
Great. Explore your freedom and please get out of this room.
Sounds to me like you're quite angry.
You know what doesn't sound like to me? Footsteps of you walking away. Be gone, woman!
All right, I'll do that. But sometimes it helps to talk.
That's for people.
Well, I think you're a people, she says as she drops the cloth back into the bowl and gets up.
Looks can be deceiving. Get out.
She leaves and very quietly closes the door.
Can I lock that door?
The infirmary door doesn't really have a lock on it so much as there's a bolt that you can slide across it.
I'd like to do that, please.
All right, that's fine.
I'm gonna take out that tome because that was the one thing that I clutched onto, which is why I asked earlier Mutara, I'm like, where are you touching? But he's like, aha, Mutara, away! So I am taking out the tome, and I'm gonna start trying to follow the ritual rites.
All right. So that's what you're going to start doing?
Yeah.
Trying to read through it all. Blackston, what are you doing? Everyone seems to be settling into their roles in the party.
So, sitting down... So, what's the situation? We're in this big capital tent, right?
Well, not yet. The main festivities haven't started, but yes, that will be the idea.
All right. But I'm with Con and Talneem and his entourage, and all right. I would de-gauntlet myself and move up to Talneem and kind of not smile, but have like an open face, right? Not like, but right. Having a friendly kind of expression. Okay. And say to him, because I know he spoke at least some broken common before, and say to him, Talneem, tell me about your stories. What have your people been through 300 years ago? What do you know about our former oppressors? What are your tribe's legends?
He looks to Naxxon very briefly. Naxxon maybe explains a few of the more complicated words. Then he grins. The Darahag did not bow to dragons. Darahag ate dragons. Slayed the dragons in the desert. Naxxon leans over. If you would like a more accurate answer, the scribes at Takutumen have a complete record of the time during the dragon's reign. I'm afraid the Darahags were as enslaved as everybody else, but they will never admit that.
No, it's fine. And I nod and say, the Darahag are impressive people.
That causes the Talneem to grin and smile. Women file in, as so do male servants move in, and food starts to get laid out, drinks start to get poured for everybody. Dajar is suddenly sitting next to you, looking resplendent, and he has two people behind him, a man and a woman, who are handing out little trinkets to people who walk past. And he engages in a long discussion with Talneem, sort of jumping right into the conversation.
Talneem, As you are proud people,
He looks relieved when you try and break into Jajar's bombarding commentary.
yes. As you are proud people, and have been fighting the dragons, resisting them all time, I am sure not only the dragons suffered losses. I told you that I wish no second front. The reason being is we are fighting the dragons right now, at least the servitors.
He looks to Naxun. Naxun interprets servitors. He looks back. Noble battle, yes.
If you seem to agree with me that this is a noble and worthwhile battle to fight, if something might happen, I would like you to inform you about their whereabouts to topple these beasts.
Yes, we are allies now.
Correct. And my friend over here, and I kind of point next to me where Con is saying, says that you want to exchange wards.
Tradition.
Well,
Tribes-
my good friend Naxun here, and I kind of grab him on the shoulder. He helped us very much as we came down to repair our flying ship. And I have the utmost trust in him. He is practically family at this point. And he wishes to... And he wishes to get in contact with you. So my thinking was that this could be a great opportunity for everybody involved.
Just to clarify, when you say Naxun, do you mean Naxun or do you mean Dajar? Naxun is your second officer. Dajar.
Yeah, no, I meant Dajar. Yeah, I meant Dajar.
He's sitting there grinning from ear to ear, just sort of dropping trinkets out of sleeves and pockets that don't seem to have any dimensional properties of, restriction. Talneem looks at him. He will make a fine addition to my family. In exchange, we will give you one of our most treasured individuals. And he claps his hands together, and everyone else in the tent quietens down, and this music starts to play. It's this very hypnotic sound. Obviously, someone is playing on a stringed instrument that's being plucked. There's some cymbals. Slowly, the tabula starts to go as the drumming starts to pick up. And from behind this curtain, this absolutely stunning young woman starts to move amongst the crowd, dancing in time with the music. Mutaru, there is a frantic tapping on your back.
Yes.
The big Darahag is standing behind you, looking very worried.
How? How are you going?
Come now. He starts to lead
He
you.
points sheepishly at the food and maybe just grabs an apple on the way out.
Apples?
It's dried figs that have been restored to a certain amount of softness by being soaked in camel drool for about 24 hours, give or take. They're remarkably sweet.
Mutaru comes from the Badlands. I've had worse.
Yes. He takes you around the back of the large tent where you can see clearly this is something that you are very familiar with. There are troops of performers, acrobats, fire eaters, singers, comedy acts. Everyone is just gathered, getting ready to go on for the main event that is obviously coming up. It doesn't matter that you don't speak their language. You know all of this anyway. It's backstage chitter-chatter as people are nervous, checking their costumes for one last time, tightening a ribbon, sorting out an alligator skull to make sure that it catches the light just perfectly. There is that general air of excitement. Your big companion takes you to a small area that's been curtained off with tent sheeting and points to a large vat of oil, which he starts to strip down to a loincloth and then starts to rub the oil on himself. Again, most likely in preparation for your bout of strength or whatever it is that's happening.
Oh, I see. Yes. Looking at his basically torn, tattered, and very abysmal-looking attire, which normally is quite paradey and flamboyant, Mutaru excuses himself, just sort of points for 1 minute and rushes to his quarters. He doesn't even wait till he gets there. He's sort of like tearing off the strips of fabric from his shirt till he's in nothing but his sort of like a haramaki, which is like, kind of like this cloth belt and this like sumo underwear kind of thing. He barrels into his bedroom and pretty much just as quickly as he can. He has done this thousands of times, trust me. Places, sort of these two large ropes around his back, one around his gut, and paints his face in the traditional kabuki warrior dance. He takes off his wig, which is stained with ice elf blood and dirt and grime, throws it to the ground, opens up his cupboard and like picks his the 15th wig on the left hand side on the second shelf, which is actually an azure blue as opposed to the cobalt he is commonly wearing, and he places it on. He has a look at himself in the mirror and he's like, and runs back, and without any hesitation takes the oil and just rubs it into his leathery hide.
Well, the whole time you hear, I feel pretty, yo, so pretty.
Oh, yes. Oh, I wouldn't want Graham to miss this. No, I know. I said 1 minute. Okay.
And like...
All right, so the dancer eventually finishes her hypnotic display and ends up draped over the low table that you are all sitting at. Talneem looks over at you four. Acceptable?
Very much so.
Con?
Yes, very much. Thank you. Wonderful. Con's like running on paranoia and adrenaline at the moment. He doesn't look comfortable, doesn't look happy. He's trying to mask it with alcohol and food, and now there's this seductive woman draped across the front.
I know.
This should be awesome, but I'm just not there right now.
Yes, Mutaru?
Okay, just to kind of player-wise, Narim is the guy who was one of our crewmen, and he said there was someone in Naxon, sorry, and he said that there was someone in their tribe that he rather fancied. Is this the same woman, or is it a different woman? Like, can is there any sign of that?
You don't know. You're outside, so you can't see how Naxon is responding to her, but yes, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know, but things might be discovered later on. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe Con's paranoia is more accurate. Nonetheless, the party continues, and there are performers and there are dancers, and Mutaru, the time seems to slow down as you wait for your slot. But after the third course, the camel's hump has been served, expertly grilled and cooked and roasted with cloves. So there's this exotic, really rich aroma. The entire tent quietens down, and just this low drum beat starts to play out. Your giant slaps you on the oiled, glistening hide, and steps into the tent itself. Two of you see this very heavily muscled, very large Darahag step forward, followed by Mutaru, Queen of the Desert, with azure blue feathers and fur, looking like it's midnight, glistening in the torchlight, the firelight, and everything that goes with it.
This is Blackston's response to this.
The
I would like to make a performance check as I enter.
Yes,
like
please
just
do
to,
so.
Just to sort of grab hold of the very long Kaubuki sideburns and thrash my hair to kind of turn it into like this living dragon's tail as I walk in and stamp the ground with a heavy hoof. That is 21.
Well, if you didn't believe his stories of him being a performer in Kaubuki before, the Mutaru who is standing now in the circle of carpentry in front of you is twice as big and just steps in such a way that every time he stops, he's just perfectly posed to strike the sense of dominance and power and grace. He is magnificent in all other aspects. Even the feathers somehow move in such a way as to only frame him when he wants them to. It's mesmerizing, as a matter of fact. The drumming stops. The big man squares off against you and bows quite low.
I do the,
Well, he does the same. Give me an initiative check, please.
I am too pretty. 3.
As you're busy bowing dramatically and flexing at the same time, he suddenly charges forward and basically grabs you like a giant sumo and tries to flick you over into the sand. But all your oiled hide and feathers just get entangled in him, and he's grabbing at you, but he's not finding any purchase. What are you doing?
As he's grabbing me, he's got like obviously a loincloth as well. In the land of the Chung, there is obviously the sumo wrestlers that have a particular method of pulling their weight, so that he grabs hold of the loincloth around the hip, and he shifts his weight over one of his large calf muscles, twisting and at the same time, sort of flicking his hair and having the oil cascade over and sort of almost like this glisten as he tries to basically throw him to pull him off balance.
All right. Would you please give me an athletics check? Or acrobatics?
This is literally what
athletics preferably. That is a 25 on my athletics check.
Wow. Well, with that, you manage to swing him up and sideways, but he lands with his feet almost crab-like. The crowd is going berserk as they're watching this. It almost looks like man versus the dragons themselves, Blackston, insofar as you've got this ornately colorful beast being wrestled with by this basically naked man who is doing his all to defeat the creature, but the creature just seems to dominate the space.
As everybody is so enthralled by this performance of those two gladiators, I would put my hand on Korn's shoulder to get his attention for a second and say, I need to do something private tonight.
Right. What
Please,
exactly? Right. No, forget I asked. Private. What do you need?
I just need to excuse myself for the evening. I think everything is rather under control.
I hope so. I say with forced joviality. The wine, or whatever this is quite good.
It's...
Or at least after your third or fourth cup, you stop noticing it's that bad.
Well, don't break up
I'll try not to cause any diplomatic incidents. You go and do what you need to do.
Thank you. And keep an eye on... kind of... nod over to the dragon warrior.
Yes. Rather hard to drag my eyes away at this point.
Smile. And I look over to Dejar and this...
Dejar is exchanging coins with people over this battle.
That's just like, just what I expected. All right. Just like nod and just like make my way out.
All right. So you're heading off that way. Graham, there is a knocking at the door.
Captain Business, be on with you.
You need to eat.
Later.
It won't be any good to anybody if you don't eat properly.
Well, then leave it there. I need to do something. I'm trying to get this ritual like going as fast as possible. Like I want it to work. It told me I was ready. I'm ready.
There is a stirring of smoke in the corner of the room. At first you think perhaps it's a candle that's caught on fire. And then you realize that the smoke has got a distinctive purple hue to it. And there doesn't seem to be any source or kindling from which it might have sprung. Stepping rather casually out of the flames is a young man, maybe in his early 30s, fairly aquiline features, pointed face, dressed in a very casual, loose-fitting shirt, black trousers into neat boots.
Look at the circle I've drawn, like...
No, don't worry, I'm not that one.
Who are you?
Oh, that's not important right now. What's important is what you're trying to do.
Okay.
I don't think that you've quite understood what that book's all about, he says, idly running his hands over Con's tools, over the blades, the bottles.
All I know is it is a source of what I need. Do you intend to stand in my way?
Oh, no. No, I wouldn't ever stand in your way. No. Why would I do that? No, I'm quite happy for you to go ahead. Speak his name, form an alliance with him. I really don't have a problem with that. I'm just offering an alternative, that's all.
What is your alternative?
There are a great many things that you do not understand and won't ever understand. This is something you're going to have to get used to. Is that something that you can handle?
No.
No. You want to know everything.
Well, I guess just whatever gets me to my goal, then that's it. Everything else is obsolete.
There's a frantic knocking on the door. Your food's getting cold. You really should eat your food.
Get out of here! Leave it!
Perhaps on second thoughts, maybe you aren't necessarily worth it. I don't know. They seem to like you. But then again, they'll take anybody. He walks over to the door and raises a finger towards the latch. He doesn't touch it. I wonder...
Don't you dare. If you want to talk, let's talk. I only have one thing in mind. I want to find that woman dead. That's it. And I am in full destruction of myself. I know it.
You see, I don't like investing in the short term. I wanted to see for myself whether you really were so hell-bent on your destruction.
Well, then, can I complete this ritual, please?
Just a word of warning. The people that you're going to try and deal with, none of us are what we seem. Don't
Great.
take us at face value.
Then I won't. I am different than most people. Most people would have grander desires to be happy. To find love. To find things that are accomplishing their goals of progress and success. I am not a normal person. I'm clinically insane. I am a husk of a person. I'm a shell. I don't understand anything that's ever happened in my life. All I've lived with has been lies, cheating, and betrayal, and surviving. That's all I know, and that's what I live in, and I will be sure to get this done.
Yes, that does sound like almost every other human I've ever met. You are such a limited people.
Oh, you're kidding me.
But if you want to speak and make a pact with him, then so be it. I'm not going to stop you. Oh, but before I go... He slides the bolt back. Come in. And then he disappears into a waft of smoke. The door immediately opens.
No.
She's holding a plate of food. You can see she's got this very worried expression on her face.
Why didn't you leave it on the floor like I said?
Because when your captain saw me on the ship with the jar, he didn't just leave me there. He let me go free. So I'm not just going to leave you here. Then she looks around. Who were you talking to?
You're right. Forgive me. I've been very cranky. I think there'll be another time for us to talk. But as for right now, I will take this. Thank you for bringing this to me. I'll set it down. I just have some things I need to figure out on my own. I'm very emotional, as you can see.
All right. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. See,
I'm also bipolar.
a little talking never hurt anybody.
Let's talk later.
Right. She genuinely seems to believe you.
Yep.
And she starts to back out the room.
Yep. You enjoy. I lock it, and I immediately go straight to the circle. Go, now bury us.
Is that what you shout out?
Yep.
The room goes dark again. Mutaru, would you please give me another athletics check as you and your companion square off against one another? Ooh.
Oh, do I have a chance to adopt one of my fighting stances?
Yes.
Excellent. Mutaru placing his left leg firmly in front of him and his right leg pivoted so that it almost looks like, you know how like a bull sort of scrapes his leg to charge. Leaning backwards using the bulk and heft of his body, he places both hands to either side, creating an almost straight momentum as he adopts the fighting stance, the rampage of the Golden Bull. He ducks his head down and charges at him, using his shoulders and his head almost like a perfectly flat battering ram, colliding with him with that athletics check.
It's so beautiful.
What was your value?
I'd tell you, but it went under my sound foam. I'll roll that again, because... Yeah, okay, so 16 plus... 6 is 22.
All right. With a surprising maneuver, your opponent, as you slam into him, he grabs either horn and flips backwards and up and vaults over you to land behind you. He got 23.
Ooh.
He then tries to bear hug you from behind. Give me an athletics check to get out of his bear lock, if you please.
Athletics.
Another 22.
All right. As he bear locks, because you're covered in oil, he manages to twist himself sideways, or you twist yourself sideways, bringing you in a perfect position to grab his head and push backwards. Con, you're watching this titanic battle unfolding, and everybody's cheering and clapping and sort of shouting for their favorite. There's various ideas around Mutaru in terms of the interpretation of how to say it. But what are you doing?
With the alcohol now starting to have the desired effect, I'm starting to relax and forget about my dirty little secret, and I'm trying to sort of ingratiate myself a bit more into conversations around me. And, you know, just Con is now in diplomat mode, or trying to be anyway. And so this young lady is to join us, is she?
She's
fantastic.
Yes, she sits down next to you and holds a very small trinket. She takes it that it was wrapped around her neck, and well, you didn't notice that part of her body while she was dancing, but she pulls this locket out and she holds it out towards you and says with nary an accent, "My father wants me to present this to you as gratitude for elevating our status within the Darahag people."
Oh,
well,
mic drop.
That's very kind of your father. What is? I look at it.
It appears to
closer
be
look.
a fairly plain wooden oval-shaped locket. If you open it up, you'll see that it contains an item that is particularly precious to our people, but one that my father believes will hopefully ensure that my treatment at your hands is amicable.
Well, you have no need to be concerned about that, I can assure you. I open it and have a look inside.
Would you please give me a knowledge nature check?
That's something I can do. Oh, that is 22.
The slightly pine scent that manages to permeate between the aromas of cooked meats and the yak fat candles and all that kind of thing immediately triggers a reaction. Your nose clears, the alcohol vaporizes from your system, your head suddenly clears, perhaps the doubts return, but at the same time, there is a certain relaxed happiness that replaces the alcohol and the intoxication. This is a fabled dew of the desert. It is the dew that would form on the leaf of a plant as the sun rises, but this particular plant When the dew forms on it, it crystallizes the dew using sap and sugars and things. And the dew, when broken, this now crystallized dew, when broken into a powder, becomes a fairly powerful remedial agent. It's a compound that's used in healing potions and poultices and has a remarkable efficacy. But the value of this is in the thousands of gold crowns, because this is the actual plant growing in a small sample of soil. So if you nurture it and tend it, you will be able to harvest one of these dewdrops every morning.
I very sort of reverentially close it again to ensure it doesn't get harmed, and for a few moments I say nothing, and then you must convey to your father the absolute honor it is to receive such a gift. And one delivered by such an enchanting personage as yourself. And please, be assured you have nothing to fear whilst you are traveling with us.
Nefarious!
As you say that, behind you, Mutara, would you give me another athletics check, please, as you wrestle with your opponent?
I'm just envisioning this rather heartbreaking scene between Con and this girl, and behind there's just like tumbling people.
Adopting a slightly different stance this time, Mutaru straightens his body upwards, and this is a slightly more defensive stance. It is the dance of the Centaurian Matador, as he is trying to evade. But at the same time, every time he does, he seems to go.
Who is this? This is wrong. This is
clearly the actual stance of Mutaru's heart.
Right.
That is a natural 20.
Nice. So as you clap your two hands together, the Darahag just charges towards you. His intention now is just to hit you with as much force as possible to knock you flat. You step sideways and just touch him on his back and send him careening into one of the tent posts that you helped erect that afternoon. There is an almighty crack as his forehead connects with it, and he topples over completely unconscious. The crowd is quiet for a second. Then suddenly laughter explodes around. Everyone is laughing, shouting, celebrating, clapping happens. The music just starts going mad again, and you are given your moment. The Talneem is as enamored as everybody else is with your performance. He stands, and a servant comes over with a box. He takes out of this box it looks to be a silver dagger, and he lifts it up, and as he presents it to you, the dagger suddenly turns into a piece of bamboo.
Ah! Flashbacks.
You
It's
are
okay.
finally learning your position, Mutaru.
Master! Mutaru do good?
Talneem is holding forward this piece of bamboo, looking at you, and then he kind of grins.
Yes. I take the case as well, I guess?
Yes.
I assume he's presenting that, yeah. I take it and I pull out the dagger and I hold it up for the audience to see, of course.
So the trick here is you are just holding up a fresh shoot of bamboo. Con, give me a perception check. You have disadvantage.
I wonder why.
10.
For a split second, there's this sparkly blue light glowy thing in the middle of the room which causes you to look up. You see Mutaru holding up this thin silver dagger. Mutaru, you see it as a bamboo switch, however. And then there's applause and clapping and that sort of thing. Talneem steps back. As he sits down, and you know these people from Kabuki, you see the stage manager busy frantically waving at you to get off stage so the next act can move on. They're not impressed, obviously. I mean, they're
in show business.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
But as I leave, obviously I cannot leave without a grand finale. So Mutaru once again grabs hold of his hair, and I'm going to do two very stupid things, as per the case with Mutaru. The first stupid thing that Mutaru does is he activates his Dance of the Jade Dragon, which is to instigate his green flame blade cantrip, setting himself on fire with green flame. Now, it is my hope that the damage will be minimalized because the flames will be on a layer of oil, and the heat will need to permeate, at least for a few rounds before it sort of does any severe damage to him, i.e. I've got hit points. The second thing he wishes to do is telepathically communicate to everyone in the tent this vision that Mutaru has transformed into this giant dragon with jade scales as he twists his hair to match the movements of a dragon, or at least the sort of Japanese, Chinese kind of serpentine dragon as he leaves the stage.
Would you please give me a give me a Constitution saving throw. Give me a Constitution saving throw.
Okay.
20 different
I can deal with
types
this.
of tomatoes and fruits and
that is a 16 on the dice, plus 3 is 19.
All right. So as you cast green flame upon your hair, which is soaked in oil, and I'm not going to go any further than that, the heat that is generated is spectacularly surprising. But whilst you have set yourself on fire, you manage to hold your cool as you step outside of the tent on fire.
Into the sand, duck and roll, holy hell, this was a terrible idea. This is not regular fire, this is eldritch fire, this is fire from magic. Why did I think this was a good idea?
All right, so you are busy dousing yourself.
But it looks
Speaking of
cool.
the sand, Blackston, what are you doing throughout this fiasco?
While this happening is happening, far behind him, he is on his way back to where he rode out of the sand earlier this day, and on his way back down the stairs that have been carved into the sandstone leading down to the Darahag encampment, settlement, but also the temple that he found
All right.
earlier.
The moonlight is brilliant, and the desert seems to almost glow. Perhaps it's envious of the night sky that is above you, because that too seems to just be this luminous body of stars. As you get to the stairwell, the temperature changes quite significantly. The desert is quite cold, but the stairwell has a warmth to it, and as you descend deeper into the chamber, the light remains constant, and what you realize is that the sandstone walls have obviously got a very high silica content because they glisten like a star field as well, outlining the lost temple of Brax that's been buried in the sand for ages. There are no guards that you pass. Everybody is at the party and absorbed in their work, so no one has noticed your departure.
As I descend into down the stairwell towards the gates of the temple, I let my hand, still without gauntlet, run across the side, the fresco of the sandstone, over thousands of stars gleaming from the light falling from the sky.
You get to the floor of this chamber, and you can see the passageway that you came in on, or exited actually, from making your alliance with Talneem. But that is not the focus. The focus is the two large statues and the plinth that contains the name Brax upon it. The sand has built up over the steps, having buried the entrance long ago. But perhaps it is a trick of the moonlight, perhaps it is fate, who knows? There appears to be an entrance just at the top of the sand that's blocked out most of the statues.
Almost cautious, Brax would approach this entrance. Not necessarily worried, but solemn and calm at the surface, but not inside.
The passageway that is beyond this opening is mostly filled with sand, and for the first 15 feet, you're climbing down the hill of sand that has built into it. It starts to get darker, but as you pass an inscription in the walls, the inscription is written in a language that has long since been forgotten. As you pass through, your holy symbol suddenly illuminates in this brilliant, brilliant blue light. And the entire corridor, all of the inscriptions on the walls suddenly light up with the same blue light. And the entire chamber beyond is revealed. Now, as you step forward, you realize that you are stepping through an illusion, and that illusion is banks of sand. So if anybody else came down this corridor, they would just see a caved-in old passageway. You realize, of course, that it is not that at all. It is an entranceway into this large hexagonal-shaped chamber. At the very center of the chamber is an altar, and the altar is the carving of very simple style, nothing elaborate. Brax has never been about that sort of thing. He's not a showy god. There is this singular altar, and upon that altar, resting, shining as if it had been polished but an hour ago by a studious squire, is this ornate, very old-styled helmet. The rest of the chamber, the runes or the inscriptions are lit up and cast out these blue shadows that almost make the space feel like you're standing on the edge of the cosmos with infinity in front of you.
Stepping forward on his infinite, apparently, travel now towards the center of this world. Stepping in front of the statue, sitting back on his heels, so on his knees, basically, kind of sitting back, and just sitting there for a few minutes, contemplating, deep in thought.
All right. Freddy, you have crawled out this name.
Mm-hmm. I did. Slam my hands down onto the ritual circle and giving off some sprays of blood to bring its attention. I named out Nabarius. Come forth. I need your strength and power to do my deed.
Yep. The room suddenly goes very cold. The few candles that gutter in their protective casings go out, but there is a brilliant moon without that seems to filter in through the small window that allows light in. A presence different from all of the others that you have felt so far. The others seemed to be, although very close, stuck behind a veil, as if there was a piece of glass in between you and them. This one is quite different. This one is with you. You called our name.
Yes, I'd like to make a pact with you. I've read in the tomes that you've accepted pacts before. The price of existing in this world. I need your power. People have forgotten your names. I have not. So, I will be a vessel for you to interact with the world, exchange for your gifts. I am searching eagerly for something.
You get a sense that there's this form appearing in front of you, vague outlines, and suddenly it steps out of itself, forming two, and then another figure steps out of itself again, forming three of them standing in front of you. Then they slowly move around the circle that you've created to stand at 3 points, almost of a triangle. Why should we make a pact with you? Just because you know our name. Although that is very, very good.
I'm willing to pay. Call me stereotypical or whatever you want. But it is for vengeance. Vengeance is what drives me. What do you need for this price? For this boon that I wish?
Blackston, what are you doing?
Okay. Still sitting back on the heels. His eyes kind of open up with some found of self-respect, some sort of self-confidence in this, well, breathtaking temple. And he starts to speak to the statue he's sitting in front of. Brax, O mightiest of the gods, I sit before you humbled and in need of guidance. A great darkness looms ever closer over Braxia. We, your people, need your help. 300 years ago, you helped us banish the menace into the darkness, and we prospered because of you. But the mortals have failed you, squabbling over politics, losing sight of the bigger picture. We have failed you. The three orders have fallen sick with delusions of grandeur. They fester within our midst and corrupt the minds that swore to uphold the divine task to keep the people of your world safe. I have failed you. Naivete blinded my senses and trust dulling my vigilance. The time of failure must end. Now I know of these traitors. Now I know of their plans to open the gates and let the defilers themselves return. Now I know of their insane thirst for power and blinded ambition to lead them to believe they can control chaos. I sit before you with burning conviction, beseeching you to grant me your divine help. Let me pledge myself to you. Grant me your divine guidance. Grant me your divine wisdom. Grant me your divine power to seek out these sinners and smite all those wrongdoers. For I swear on my name to keep the horrors away from the people. For I swear on my body to bring the sword to those who would make a deal with the devil himself. For I swear on my soul to serve your divine task, to keep the darkness in the shadow where they belong.
The altar cracks in half. You would make a deal with us, says the voice to Grimm.
Yes, for I swear on my own stupid and pointless spirit that I have, which I see it as just energy to a huskless vessel in the first place, though it is granting power, it is useless to me. Take what you wish. I just need my revenge. No matter if my mind, body, or soul is completely destroyed.
If it is of no value to you, then why is it of value to us? That's a good question.
It is still a soul, is it not?
A soul, we can get those. We need something more than that. We need something that you value. Otherwise, it's not a deal.
I barely value anything. What? The better question is, what do you value? Sacrifice? I'll do it. I'm ready and willing. What more do you need? Name it. I'll give it. Anything to see that woman cut into ribbons. Anything for me to feel her blood run down my hands. For me to dig into her chest and rip out her blackened heart.
So dramatic. I think there is something that we can negotiate with. There is something that you have that we want.
Yes?
We will ask for it later.
Okay.
For now, perhaps we will agree. Give me your charisma roll, please.
Fingers crossed. I rolled the natural 19, so plus the charisma anyway, but it's
Yes,
22.
I think we will help you in exchange for what we want. Do you agree?
Agreed.
So be it. All three of them rise up and seem to pour into the center of your chest. It feels as if something is growing inside of you to the point that your ribcage is expanded as fully as it'll go, and then that starts to push even further open, almost threatening to explode out from within you. And everything starts to settle back down again. Blackston, the helmet that was on the altar, which is cracked in half, rolls to your feet.
So I envision it being basically sitting there with the visor kind of looking at me.
Yes, the styling of this helmet is very Corinthian, so it doesn't actually have a visor. It's got the eye slot and the central piece for the nose.
Right.
But the plume in it is missing. But the helmet itself looks, like I said, brand new in terms of polish. But the eye slot is looking at you, yes.
I kind of look at the altar, look at the helmet, take the helmet, go over to the altar, place it upon the altar, gulp, and just see the broken altar, and unsure what to do, kind of looking left and right for someone to advise himself what to do, like. Start to frantically search his pouch. Grab something out of the pouch. Trying to squeeze very tightly as the small bits of metal kind of start to dig in to his hand, and a little bit of blood starts to trickle down his forearm. And he says, "I will destroy you." Grab the helmet and leave.
All right. As you grab the helmet with your oath now being completed, The helmet, it feels quite heavy, and it feels like it's moving on your hand. And when you look down, the helmet appears to have changed size slightly. It doesn't look as big as it was before. Now it looks as if it'll actually be quite a comfortable fit. As you walk out of the temple, the blue glow just shuts down, getting darker and darker and darker, until eventually you merge out of the sand into the bottom of that pit, and it's gone completely black to the moonlight filtering in, and as if nothing had happened within that tomb itself. Well, how shall we begin? Says a voice from within your head, Graham.
By getting the hell out of this disgusting, dirty box that I put myself in. And I start casting Disguise Self to look like just a member of the Windswift, not as Green the captain.
Okay, so you're going to use that to do that. Mutaru, you are put out by your friend who has been revived. He shakes your body and hand vigorously. He's got a big grin everywhere. Other performers are unwound.
I give him a hug. I give him a full-blown pat on the back.
When he steps back from your giant hug, you notice that he is now covered in slightly melted hair, rather sticky with the sediment of your jubilation and fire. They then will take you to go and get sorted, cleaned, and put back to a little bit more of a semblance of normalcy. Con, you are entertained, wined, and dined by Telneem. Are you going to do anything other than enjoy the event?
Pretty much. At this point, Con is just hoping that nothing else goes spectacularly wrong. For the time being, we're stuck with this situation. What I would really like to do is leave now.
Right.
Fly as far away as possible and dispose of a certain uncomfortable items in our cargo, preferably into the sea. But between now and then, some diplomatic schmoozing is going on.
All right. Well, the night winds its way along. Blackstone doesn't return for quite some time. You see nothing of Graham either, and no one from the ship comes to tell you that Graham has woken up. Mutaru, after that spectacular flaming exit, you can only hope he didn't actually set himself on fire, is nowhere to be seen either, but no one else seems too concerned, and no one was calling for doctor after he left, so everything seems to be on the straight and narrow. The night winds itself down, and eventually the Telneem rises and gives you his apologies for having to leave early, but tomorrow he and his people lead a raid on the city of Kos, and it is a long journey there, and they should probably have some rest before the battle. So he leaves, and yes, Mutaru?
Oh, I got to eat, right?
Oh, yeah. But you didn't get to eat in the main tent. You ate with the rest of the performers, which was probably a happier space anyway.
Oh, excellent, good. I was worried for a minute.
No, there was vast consumption of...
What could keep you away from your lunch?
Even I know that.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And yes, so Con, eventually you return to the vessel with your new companion. Her name, by the way, is Nistri. Nistri.
Nistri.
Correct.
Like a mystery.
That was something that her parents were thinking about, but, well, yes. So Nistri returns with you. She reveals that she does not intend to be a freeloader. She is fairly well-schooled in about 12 different languages and can write and take notes. And, yes, she does not intend to just sit back and do nothing.
Well, that's certainly gratifying to hear, and that's remarkable. Really, that many languages? Wow.
She would have had more, but she found Orc to be a particularly difficult language. She couldn't get her tongue to wrap around it as well as she would like, so she doesn't count it as a language that she speaks.
Amazing, considering how remote you are out here.
Oh, she was not schooled here. Her father sent her off to Quethlin, the elvish city, for most of her education. As well as then she did a tour of Valenhold, the religious capital, so that she could study up on the ancient texts of history and religion. Yes, so you get a rundown. She is a highly educated young woman who really was trapped by her circumstances because she did not wish to be a bride, she confesses, but well, quite actually to travel the world.
Well, you may yet have that opportunity with us. At least parts of it. Although I can't guarantee you won't get shot at and such along the way.
I am a
afraid
Darahad. I have helped invade at least 4 cities already.
Of course.
I know how to use a spear. Do not worry.
Excellent.
And with that, Blackston eventually gets back to the ship, as does Mutaru. Griam has now changed his shape. And we will end it there before we start on our next adventure of the Windswift, as, well, we've got things to do, places to go, and, well, Jonathan's supposedly on holiday, so we won't keep him too much longer. Join us again next week when we continue the adventures of the Windswift with our regular now 2-hour-long show, or thereabouts. Yes. Very quickly, we will just ask, well, we won't roll Dice of Destiny. We're going to go straight into our review of the show. So, Con, what did you think of this episode?
I really loved it, not least for all the bits that everyone got in this wonderful juxtaposition of the dark and the light going on with Griam and Blackston. Excellent, really. You know, I didn't notice that, you know, you don't feel like that's taking up time. This is quality story stuff going on here. And the same with the performance. You know, we get a proper kabuki performance for Mutaru. It's been great fun, and in the set to have Con in the midst of all this, basically trying to keep himself from falling apart and having a complete nervous breakdown. So I've had a lot of fun with that. I think, you know, we've achieved a few interesting, and just, you know, one of those great examples of a session where nobody's fighting and there's not a whole lot of dice rolling, but loads going on.
Absolutely. Mutaru, you got to show off your acting chops.
Oh my god, yeah, that was incredible. Holy hell, like, yeah, it's been so long, I almost forgot I was an entertainer.
Sorry,
no,
I am
great.
going to have to beg your leave on this one and drop out
Thank
of the
you,
call.
Jonathan.
Bye, Con.
I'm being summoned.
Oh, well.
Have fun at the lunch.
Bye-bye.
Have fun, guys. Thanks very much.
So on that
Secretly
note,
hates us all.
Yes. Yeah. No. I thought it was great. It was awesome. I had an awesome time. It was. I mean, I thought everyone really got a chance to shine in their own vein. I mean, obviously, I think when it comes to games like this, sometimes you need that really big exhale, you know, a chance to just sort of, I mean, it's not a visceral threat. There isn't something that is big and bad and coming to get you. It is a chance for you just to simply be in the skin of your character, and everyone, I think, got a chance to really explore that, have a lot of fun, and as Con said, you know, seeing the juxtaposition between the light and dark dichotomy between Blackston and Griam was awesome and enthralling, and very serious and heavy-handed. And then on the other hand, you've also got the dichotomy between the two of them, and of course the silly tit who's setting himself on fire, which was awesome. And I've got to say this, from my part, I'm actually so happy that Con just got a chance to get drunk, hang out with pretty women, and just relax, because oh my god, I feel like poor Con over the last couple of weeks has really gone through the ringer, and yeah, no, I had a lot of fun, and I think yeah, that's me. Yeah.
yeah, there you go. Graham and Blackston, I don't know who to go to first. This wasn't totally planned on my behalf, but, well, as you guys told me what your characters needed to do and how things needed to play out, I thought, well, this could work. This could work in quite a good way. I don't know what the two of you felt along those lines. Let's go to Graham first. You poured your heart and soul out to people.
Quite literally.
Till demons, yeah.
Yes.
Actually, as excited as I am for my part, I'm like, dude, yes! Simon, you got an oath now! High five!
I'm not level 2 anymore!
That's true! Oh my god, that was so exciting. I'm so excited for all this storytelling. This is fantastic. I am also finally excited to, like, actually be able to, like, dabble into, like, because I've tried, for some reason, fate, maybe, I've tried putting this binder class into so many different places, and it never worked out, and it finally did, and it's very interesting, like this whole pact and negotiation stuff, and really it is like a time like where for the first time, as much as like Greem has been sometimes silly, sometimes they're reasonable, pretty much most part a jerk, just a huge, just nobody likes him because like he's just a jerk about it. He's still surprised. I know, still surprised that you do, but like, you know, for once, like, you know, he just shows a little bit more of his color, like just like, you know, he feels like he's just nothing. He just has to do his one thing, and then that's it. That's the end game for him. He doesn't really care for anything else. You know, showing that with, like, you know, just like trying to keep people out. The food is like, oh, whatever, like simple comforts that most people would have enjoyed, been great for. He's like, no, I want to get this done. And it was so, and I absolutely loved Blackston's part, and I didn't realize that was coming. This whole clash of light and darkness was so awesome. The walk down the hallway, Blackston like steps like getting heavier and heavier. It's getting closer to this altar, wondering what is he gonna do. But then he's like, no, I know what I have to do. I have to do what's right. And it's like the comparison with Blackston, like, you know, I have to do what's right. With Greem, like, I have to do what I must. And it's like, oh, it's like they're the same and different. And it's so exciting. And of course, I did like the silly bits with Mutaru and all that, and with Khan, and with lots of sexual tension. It was fantastic. I wonder how that's gonna go, by the way. Especially if it's like, oh, you'll be safe here on the Windswift. Totally safe.
Simon?
I've done too much talking. Please.
Phew. I think this was the culmination of what has happened thus far for the characters. Not necessarily for the story, but for the characters. As a player, is it kind of... I didn't know what anybody else wanted to do. I had like a firm idea of what I wanted to do with the character for a long time now, and the Oath went through different stages and is now very informed by what happened to him as well. And as this kind of unfurled in front of me as a player, I was like set aback a little bit by the differences, but also very much similarities between Graham and Blackston, in that they both basically pledge their soul to the higher being. Might it be good, might it be bad, might it be something in between. Although it being because of very different reasons, I assume, very similar in their approach and what they want to, and how they want to accomplish their goals, at least. So that was very heavy, I would say, like very heavy in that. And for my character, at least for Blackston, this was like a very personal thing. The dealing with the Dara Hark was much more of a professional thing for him, and also very different in how he would approach these kinds of things. So I think it was very interesting to play this character in these situations and have him behave vastly different to the trader, to the Sand tribes, to his fellow captains, his crew. And I think that made it very interesting to me to play, and also how the other players played it. Obviously in this session, particularly particularly how Freddy played Graham. But also Michael had a wonderful kind of character fulfilling moment, which is very important to his character, even though Blackston would see it this way, right? But like for him as a player and for his character, I think it was very, very fulfilling. The only odd one out the bus right now is a little bit is Jono with Con, and I really hope that we can kind of get this vehicle rolling a little bit more in the future, if story and time allows.
No, absolutely.
I definitely think with... Oh, sorry. I was going to say, definitely with that thing on Con, I reckon, is going to really have something jump out with the ship. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to see what evil, maniacal thing guys got planned for Jono regarding the Windswift.
So the last thing that I want to say is about the dungeon mastering part and kind of seeing that kind of happening. I think that was wonderfully orchestrated. I think we as players tried to help move it into a direction. I know that once this session I tried to kind of move it to Mutaro because I kind of felt that Con and I were very much for a long time in the spotlight, but aside from us players trying to help you with this, I think you did a wonderful job kind of balancing our tendency to split up the group, right?
It's true.
Well, thank you. I had worried with this session that I was spending a little bit too much time with each person. Normally I bounce a little bit more, but I felt that everybody needed to have their own kind of space to express and to explore. And I mean, between you and Graham, you gave me these great, very dramatic pauses that I could cut away and then come back again and then cut away and then come back again. And, you know, I was trying to do a similar thing with Blackston and with Con. And yes, Con didn't really have a moment of amazing fulfillment of his character. On the other hand, Con has been really worried about the ship, about all the threads and things that are hanging in all different directions, because I think as the Doctor, he worries about his crew, you three in particular. And I think that he relaxed in this episode as much as his character did to a degree. Maybe it's because he's on holiday, I don't know. But I'd like to think that anyway. But yes, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you very much. Thank you guys for watching and for being part of this. Let us know what you think of this session where we've got this pact being made with these spirits of darkness and this very impassioned vow being made to the god Brax. And let us know what you think about that kind of stuff. How does that fit within your games? Is it something that you like to explore or not? And yes, I can hope that you guys had fun watching it, as much fun as I had running it, to the point that I forgot to set the timer. I forgot my battery charger. That's why this shows, and it was chaos. I was so excited to come and run the session this evening. So anyway, gentlemen, thank you very much for playing. And to you, our wonderful audience at home, thank you so much for watching. We will see you next week. Till then, goodbye.